Hi, my name is Jim Baker. I'm so honored you're taking this course with me. And I wrote this course for kingdom-minded believers who really want to use their finances to shape the course of world history without building a golden calf. So we got our work cut out for us, but it's going to be a lot of fun. It's about who he is and who he wants to be for you and how he wants to flow through you and your finances to touch the world. Really what it's about is about your provision for your vision. God has called you to do certain things, but you need finances to accomplish it. So this course, what it's going to do, it's going to equip your head, your heart, and your hands to build wealth with God for the right reasons. We're talking about prosperity with a purpose. And so here's a 7-minute video where I talk about the overall goal for this course. I believe that many in the church are waking up to the fact that God wants them to prosper. They're believing that it's God's will for them to prosper, but they've never been told how to prosper. And so this whole series is really about how to prosper with God. Here's the long version of what we're going after. It's helping kingdom-minded people design a personalized step-by-step roadmap to build wealth from debt to complete financial freedom so they can shape the course of world history without building a golden calf. Now repeat that with me. Just kidding. Here's kind of the short version of it. It's your mission to figure out what is the one path that God has for you to build all the wealth that he has for you. It's kind of like an architect and you getting together and designing the house that meets your needs, your desires, your goals, your season of life. And so every person's wealth plan is going to be different. So a typical financial plan, it tells you what do you do with the wealth that you already have. This is not that. This is how are you going to build that wealth in the first place. Does that make sense? All right. So you maybe heard me say that this plan is to take you to complete financial freedom. Here's my definition of complete financial freedom. You don't have to ask money for permission to obey God or pursue the dreams in your heart. Does that sound good to anybody? You don't have to ask money for permission to obey God or pursue the dreams in your heart. Here's a more formal way of looking at it, is you have the ability to live from the income off of your personally invested resources. That means that the passive income coming from your investments exceed your living expenses. At that point, you are financially free. And you can do whatever's in your heart, whatever God's calling you to do. Here's the good news. This can be achieved by anyone. Even if you're starting out in debt, deep in the hole, and I'm not exaggerating. With time, consistent focus, and the right strategies, you can get to financial freedom in a number of years. I believe anybody can do it in 12 to 15 years. The earliest I've heard of anybody doing it is about 2.5 years. It was a pastor who replaced $180,000 worth of, not all of us make $180,000, $180,000 worth of income and benefits in 2.5 years in passive income, went from zero to that. I believe anybody, if you look at the math, can do it in 15 years. Every person in this room who works a full life will have enough money coming through their hands to achieve complete financial freedom. So why, if you're gonna have that money coming through anyway, why not steward it for wealth? I'm praying that we move from financial freedom actually to financial abundance, where you're actually giving away the majority of your income. What I'm really after is I'm going to make up a term here. You guys ready for this? Apostolic abundance. Apostolic abundance. Here's apostolic abundance. Is the word apostle is used in the Bible, but it's actually not a biblical term first. It was actually a term used by the Romans. Here's what they did. The Romans sent out these naval emissaries, and so they would conquer a land, and they would send out these apostles who were commissioned by the emperor. They had all the authority and all the resources that they needed to take the culture that was happening in Rome and go and bring that culture to this newly conquered city. So that when the king came to visit, he would feel at home. You guys starting to get the picture? What did he teach his apostles to pray? Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Apostolic abundance is taking the prosperity, it's taking the finances, and partnering with heaven so that we can see heaven come to earth. Deuteronomy 8:18, this has always been on God's heart. He says, you shall remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the power to create wealth, that he may confirm his covenant that he swore to your forefathers. Why did God give his people, why did he give you the power to create wealth? It's so that he can establish his covenant here on earth. Here's another way of saying that. It's so that people can see what our God is like through the generosity and through the transforming power of his people. Listen to how a rabbi describes this. I'm not sure I've heard it any better. You ready for this? One of the great differences that set Jews apart from other cultural groups is that we see our wealth as a means to partner with God, as a way to bring God's kingdom into this earth. a concept we call tikkun olam, or perfecting the world. We perfect the world by using our God-given wealth to further God's realm on this planet. So what you see is that the Jewish people's pursuit of wealth is often paired with the pursuit of charitable works. So it's not only for selfish purposes. Here's another way of saying this, is I'm looking for prophetic prosperity. Here's prophetic prosperity. Prophecy always starts in the unseen realm, and it comes and it affects the seen realm. Prophetic prosperity is when it starts with the heart and the blessing of God and comes upon his people and actually affects things on this earth. I'm talking about influencing cities, transforming nations, generational wealth that leads to generational influence. That's really what I'm after. I'm not talking about us getting nice things. I'm sure God doesn't mind you having nice things as long as that doesn't become the pursuit of your heart. What I'm talking about is a wealth that actually transforms cities and influences nations. Is anybody up for that? So here's the challenge for many of us. The only training in finances that I received, and maybe you did too from the church, was tithes and offerings. Right? That's pretty much all we're told. And I've got some news for you. You are not going to build wealth through tithes and offerings alone. I bet you've never heard that in a church before, have you? It's great. Tithes and offerings are definitely a part of it. Generosity is a part of it, but it's going to require more than that. I can prove it to you that you cannot build wealth through tithes and offerings alone. You guys ready for me to prove it to you? How many people do you know that love God with all their heart, soul, mind, and strength, and have been faithful with tithing and offering, and still have debt, have very little savings, and are living paycheck to paycheck? Okay, that's the norm for Christianity, and I'll tell you why I think that is in a little bit. It's because if the enemy can keep you sick and the enemy can keep you poor, he can severely limit your destiny. There's a spiritual battle over this thing. Half the church even thinks poverty is spiritual, but we'll deal with that in a second. Here's the good news. I've learned the secret of wealth. I've gone on this quest to a far land, and I've come back with the secret. Are you ready for the secret to wealth? There is no secret. I can tell you how to build wealth in one sentence, and everything I'm going to tell you in this sentence you already have heard and you already know. It's the implementation and becoming the kind of person who can actually carry it out is what we're going to spend some time on. So here's the secret to wealth. You guys ready? You partner with God to earn more than you spend and invest the difference wisely. That's it. That is the only path to wealth for a believer. And so we're going to take a few sessions on each one of those phrases until you have a personalized, step-by-step roadmap to build wealth from debt to complete financial freedom so you can shape the course of world history without building a golden calf.